As we continue examine this skull and bones symbol, remember that it is a magical symbol specifically created to hide an inner meaning, so adepts and sages will understand, but the meaning will be deliberately obscure to the profane. The person not a member of any secret society and or coven. Let us examine the skull and bones magical symbol. The first fact we want you to focus on is the reality that the human skull is sitting on an X, formed by crossing the two human bones. In modern magic, it is the sign of the slain and risen Egyptian god Osiris. Masonry has replaced the cross of Jesus with an X representing their own Christ. The Christ of Masonry was the biblical Antichrist. Therefore, the X is in modern Freemasonry represents Antichrist. Thus, the X in the skull and bone symbol represents the black magic masonry symbol for Antichrist. Now that we know the X represents Antichrist, let us examine how it represents the numeric value of 600. Each Greek letter also has a numeric value. The Greek letter X is representing 600. This X on which the skull and bones human skull is sitting equals 600. But now where do we find the 66 to give the entire magical symbol the numeric value equal to 666? To gain this proper understanding, we need to calculate the number 322 as an occultist would normally calculate. When you multiply 3 times 2, you naturally get 6. Then when you multiply 6 times the third digit 2, you get 12. To the occultist, the number 12 hides the more offensive number 66 since 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. The calculation from the number 322 would look like this. 3 times 2 equal to 6. 6 times 2 is equal to 12. Since 12 is thought to be x plus 6, an occultist would understand 322 to have a numeric value of 66. Thus, adding the 600 value of the X to 66 value of 322, you arrive at the total numeric value of 666. Therefore, this skull and bone symbol equals Antichrist in two ways. The letter X by itself is a symbol of Antichrist. The total numeric value of the magic symbol of the skull and bone equals 666, the biblical symbol of Antichrist, Revelation 13:18. Now you know the truth of skull and bones in two ways. It symbolizes Antichrist. Now you know that skull and bones cannot be just a fraternal good old boys society. Now you know this secret society cannot be a harmless society, as its goal is to produce Antichrist and his global kingdom. The goal of skull and bones is identical to the goal of the global Illuminati, which is to use America as the nation which will gradually maneuver the rest of the world into the global economy, religion, and government called the New World Order. Then this plan calls for the deliberate staging of the final birth pains war, which they call World War III. From the smoke and dust of this war, Antichrist will come striding. Soon after he arrives, the final kings of the earth will meet with him to publicly transfer their power to him. That is the Illuminati plan, and it exactly conforms to Revelation 17:12-17, biblical prophecy. And he lay hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Revelation 22. Thus the Bible teaches us that the dragon, the serpent, the devil, and Satan are one. Black magic doctrine. The prime symbol for wisdom is the serpent. Thus the Satanist believes that the serpent is the source of ultimate wisdom and worships him. Noted astrologer David Oveson published a book in 1999 entitled The Secret Architecture of Our Nation's Capital, The Masons and the Building of Washington, D.C., in which he uncovered the historic fact that the Mason fraternity dedicated the young United States of America to the stars generally and to the dark star Sirius. Our research indicates that the Masonic leader Sir Francis Bacon, in conjunction with Queen Elizabeth I, began to draw the plans to create a new nation in the North America continent that would be the most occult and most powerful nation since Atlantis nearly 12,000 years ago. This nation would later be called the United States of America and would be planted by our occult forefathers to be the nation to lead the world into the kingdom of the Antichrist, a kingdom they called the New World Order. Masonic founding fathers deliberately and carefully chose the plot of land on which Washington, D.C. was to be built, using occult divination, especially astrology. When the mall was being conceived and individual buildings were being built, Washington, D.C. was dedicated and oriented to the Dark Star series, which in Egyptian mysteries is Satan. Secondly, we turn our attention to the occult manner in which the streets were laid out in satanic symbols such as the hexagram, the ghost head of Mendes pentagram, the Masonic compass, square, and rule. Satanists believe that the earth is overlaid with grid lines, along with powerful supernatural occult power may flow, exactly as electricity flows through a circuit. This Luciferian power thus is envisioned to flow through this circuit grid, crisscrossing as it continually flows. Within the planetary grid flowing with this Luciferian power are numerous vortexes. Certain important vortexes are thought to act as a pillar supporting the golden age or new age that is coming. Occultists believe that one very powerful vortex is located in the capital of the United States in Washington, D.C. Satanists believe that once a satanic symbol is drawn on the ground, it begins to reverberate with occult power 7 days a week, 24 hours per day. In rituals, the witch will almost always draw a powerful symbol on the ground from which she will conduct the ceremony. In the case of Washington, D.C., Masonic planners originally conceived that the streets designs of the capital would be laid out in the most powerful satanic symbol possible, so that the entire federal government complex would reverberate with satanic power every day of every year. This continuous flow of power directly from Lucifer himself would gradually and inevitably move this country in the direction of the occult and would give its leaders the most incredible power as they deal with the leaders of other nations. The bottom portion of the ghost head Mendes pentagram encompasses the White House. Since this portion of the ghost head is thought of as containing the brain or the mind of Satan, then you can safely say that the power of Satan continuously flows through the White House. The President of the United States, if he is a practicing occultist, will be infused with incredible occult power as he directed the affairs of state and when he met with foreign leaders. Now let us consider that as our nation was continuously dedicated to Satan through careful orientation to the Dark Star series, so our buildings in Government Mall were dedicated to and established according to the power of the servants of wisdom. What you say are the servants of wisdom? As we take you through a discussion of really deep Satanism, we are indebted to former Black Magic Satanist Cisco Wheeler, now a born-again Christian and co-author of several books on Illuminati mind control. The Great White Brotherhood and the Great White Lodge of Our Galaxy series have been preparing and working tirelessly to activate the highest level of Dragon's Lair upon what is understood to be a planetary grid. There are many energy vortexes, and each have great importance as they serve as the foundational pillars for the Golden or New Age. The pillar in the United States of America was founded by the Serpents of Wisdom, who assigned the number 13 to the new nation. From its earliest history, the phoenix bird was the symbol of the United States. The phoenix also has the assigned number of 13. Thus, it was that the United States was formed once she had 13 colonies. The 13 assigned to the United States. Cooper notes the following instances of 13 in our Great Seal, shown in two parts on the back of a $1 bill, the eagle and the unfinished pyramid. Cooper says, in the Great Seal of the United States, we see the ancient symbol of the Brotherhood of the Snake, which, as you already know, is the all-seeing eye in the pyramid representing Lucifer in the form of wisdom. There are 13 leaves on the branches, 13 bars and stripes, 13 arrows, 13 letters in E pluribus unum, 13 stars in green crest above, 13 stones, layers in the pyramid, 13 letters in Annuit Coatus. 13 is mystical number assigned to Satan, according to Stan Dial in his excellent book entitled Cosmic Conspiracy. Isn't it interesting that these two symbols contain 7 instances of 13, as the number of 7 is considered the perfect number in the occult? Notice also that the all-seeing eye atop the unfinished pyramid represents the Brotherhood of the Snake, which we also know as the Illuminati. This brings us back to the snake, the serpents of wisdom, according to which the United States and the East capital, Washington, D.C., were established. Let us turn back to Cisco Ruler. From its earliest history, the symbol of the United States has been the phoenix. The great United States was and still is the designated nation or place where the phoenix, bird of freedom, will initially spread its wings over the whole world as it embraces the whole entire planet. Additionally, the great United States of America is to be the place that the united Atlantean Lemurian culture will emerge. The great America has been the perennial melting pot, all polarities uniting as one as the androgynous flame of the new world of Venus will be kindled. When the fifth dimension world is here, the serpent of wisdom will once again populate the world as in the days of Noah, and as they did in the early days of the motherlands. They will once again function within their immortal dragon bodies and immutable physical shields, becoming the Nephilim of ancient days. So we now know that this new Atlantis called the United States of America was to establish the one world government, economy, and religion of the Antichrist. America was planted as far back as the early 1590s to fulfill this role, and Washington, D.C. was deliberately planned to be the capital of this new kingdom dedicated to serpent power. A dragon serpent culture will flourish upon this planet as mankind regains the secret knowledge and technology as well as physical bodies that will have the life force of serpent power flowing within them. As in the past, new dwellings and all public buildings will be built in, or on energy-conducive shape, pyramids, spheres, obelisks, and domes. Like Washington, D.C., other cities will be tied into both the planetary and galactic grids in order to re-establish lines of communication with the third and fourth dimensional serpents. The capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., was built exactly according to these energy-conducive shapes. Within the city, we see pyramids galore, along with spheres, the largest and most famous obelisk in the world, the Washington Monument, and domes on many of the buildings. Masonic planners fully intended to build a city that would re-establish lines of communication with the third and fourth dimensional serpents. In the mind of the occultist, Washington, D.C. literally was an open channel of satanic power emanating from the vortex of the earth on which she was built and extending into the third and fourth dimensions, calling forth serpent power upon this capital city, and the nation of which she is a part. Now, are you beginning to see a secret America which you do not know exists? Cisco then tells us how the serpent tower acts within such energy-conducive state building. When a structure is in place according to the rule, the serpent dragon that is living within each building takes on the form of a serpentine spiral of energy. An occult priest, a master, can physically see the spiraling etheric body. The serpent was the ability to place special energy in these type structures. As these megalithic forms become the physical home of the etheric serpent and its spiraling body, the serpent was continually moved from left to right, up and down, inside and out the structure. This makes the spirit more conductive and the golden proportion, the numeric constant which determines the serpent spiral, is incorporated into dimensions of these structures, so the megaliths will fully harmonize within the movement of the life force. As the serpent life forces spiral down on branch of the conductive structure, its essence is transferred into a network of dragon lines which will go off in all four directions, following structured pattern lines. This energy must be harnessed as its whispering life force must not be allowed to dissipate. This is the deepest reason the colonizing serpents, demons, strategically place churches, temples, and buildings along Earth's etheric highway grid. Other forms that can be used to house this serpentine spiral energy are triangles, six-pointed stars, spirals, crosses, phallic symbols like obelisks, and stones. Collectively, these structures support self-sufficient dragon communities. Now, you can get an idea as why the government building to house our military might was built in the form of a pentagon, that powerful five-pointed symbol of Satan's power. The pentagon was built to support self-sufficient dragon serpentine communities. Further, in News 1399, we reported the fact that the entire shape of government center, also known as the mall, was in the form of the Sephiroth tree of life. Thus, this satanic depiction of a serpent crawling around and through and upward in a Sephiroth tree of life is exactly what our Masonic forefathers were aiming to accomplish in Government Center, Washington, D.C. These Masons knew exactly what they were intending to do: establish Washington, D.C. according to serpent power, so they could open a direct communication with the third and fourth dimensional serpents. Further, the obelisk is the most important part of the entire pattern and structure. Thus, the Washington Monument is most important as a link between Earth and the upper dimensions, as Cisco explains. The obelisk is a very important energy conductive marker. An obelisk is taught to Masons as a symbol of the phallus, but the deepest level meaning is that it is really a frozen snake. Obelisk support the serpent life force as it spirals between heaven and earth. The shape of the obelisk was inspired by huge generator crystals, Atlantean firestone, the life force accumulators, and amplifiers. Now you can understand the reason the Masons were so anxious to have the Washington Monument erected in the government center, as it is thought to literally arc the serpent life force between heaven and earth, powerfully driving the government of the United States to be the most influential mover and shaker of the coming kingdom of Antichrist and the New World Order. Washington, D.C. was created to be the first such dragon or serpent city. Others are planned to follow as soon as the Christ arises on the earth plane. Once Antichrist arises and gains control over the entire earth and cleanses the earth of all negative influences, then the golden age of peace, safety, and prosperity can begin. At this point, many such serpent cities will be built, each on a vortex on the planetary grid. In Washington, D.C. was truly built as a serpent city reverberating with Luciferian power. Then we should expect to see serpent symbols incorporated in government buildings. Occultists love to communicate with each other and over the passage of eras of time through symbols. The hidden serpent at the Justice Department building. Since the facade is oriented on the west-east line, the morning sunlight falls upon the figures fairly evenly, picking them out dramatically, as the relief is highlighted above the shadows. However, the plano has been inserted in such a way that until the whole relief is lighted, a shadow remains over the stake in the hand of the nude figure to the extreme right. As the sun moves higher up the skies, the hand of the man is eventually picked out. The sunlight then slides slowly down the stake in his hand until the bottom symbol is revealed by its rays. This last penetration of light reveals the intent of the symbolism, a serpent coiled in the bottom right corner. Washington, D.C. is a serpent city founded according to serpent power. Her streets were planned to radiate outward from the Capitol and the White House in a manner last seen in Babylon itself and according to the stars. As the current Masonic Supreme Commander stated, Washington, D.C. is a city of the stars, with over 30 zodiacs in the city, marrying the capital city with the stars. Systematically, every key government building built from the late 1700s through the middle the administration of Franklin Roosevelt was consecrated in a Masonic cornerstone laying ceremony, utilizing pagan symbols and pagan doctrine, and carried out in accordance with a horoscope cast to determine the most propitious day and time of day to carry out the dedication ceremony. Ovation then tells us plainly that the capital was intended to be established according to occult spirituality. Not only were efforts being made to ensure that the new federal city was consecrated to the heavens by way of a satisfactory foundation horoscope chart, but that preparations had been made for the future spiritual life of the new city in the form of a Masonic lodge. Ovation has just confirmed our article of News 1399, where we showed that the mall government center in Washington, D.C. was in the form of a Sephiroth Tree of Life. Further, we reported that the Masonic coffin is in this Tree of Life pattern. And now we learn that the inside of the lodge is also in the shape of the Sephiroth Tree of Life. This devastating understanding should forever lay to rest any and all arguments whether Freemasonry is Christian or not. If they shape their lodges in the form of the Sephiroth Tree of Life, they are satanic and not Christian. We might be tempted to imagine that the federal city was little more than a center of Masonry, but this would be no more true for Washington, D.C. than for any other major town or city connected with the original 13 states. The very struggle for independence seems to have been directed by the Masonic Brotherhood, and some historians insist had even been started by them.